The Subcommittee on Energy and Minerals Resources will come to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare recess of the subcommittee at any time. Under Committee Rule 4F, any oral opening statements at hearings are limited to the chairman and the ranking minority member. I ask unanimous consent that the gentlewoman from Wyoming, Ms. Hageman, and the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Soto, be allowed to participate in today's hearing. Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. Thank you all for being here today to discuss these important pieces of legislation. Earlier this Congress, Republicans established our commitment to an all-of-the-above approach to domestic energy policy. This includes oil, natural gas, coal, renewables, along with the minerals that are needed to produce them. It is important that we embrace all forms of energy and we let the best rise to the top. We must also make sure that we produce energy here instead of relying on foreign adversarial nations that are hostile towards the United States and that have weak environmental, labor, and safety standards. Unfortunately, the Biden administration has set an anywhere but America, any worker but American energy policy. And they've drawn a hard line at a renewable-only energy agenda that is making us more dependent on our adversaries. In our hearing on the administration's historically atrocious offshore 5-year plan last week, I said that instead of American energy dominance, this administration would rather beg Iran, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and other OPEC countries for increased oil production. Later that afternoon, the Biden administration announced they plan to ease sanctions on Venezuelan-produced energy. You can't make this up. This America last mentality being pushed by this administration must stop, or else we risk our energy security at a time of increased global uncertainty. It is time that America lead. The bills we have before us today are a very good start at putting us back on to the path of strength. H.R. 1449, the Committing Leases for Energy Access Now Act, or the CLEAN Act, introduced by my friend Rep. Fulcher from Idaho, would increase the frequency of geothermal lease sales and streamline the process for geothermal drilling permits. Geothermal energy has serious potential for growth in our country, but the best reservoirs are located on federal lands in the West. We must do all we can to ensure that bureaucratic red tape does not hamper this resource moving forward, and I appreciate Rep. Fulcher's work on this issue. H.R. 2855, the Sinkhole Mapping Act, introduced by Representative Soto, would direct the U.S. Geological Survey to study the short and long-term effects of sinkholes and map the highest risk areas. Over the past 15 years, damage from sinkholes has cost an average of $300 million annually. However, there is currently no national database of sinkhole damage costs, so the true expense may be higher than $300 million annual estimated. I look forward to working with Rep. Soto to find an offset for this bill so that we can move it forward. H.R. 6009, the Restoring American Energy Dominance Act, introduced by the gentlelady Representative Boebert from Colorado, would force the BLM to withdraw its proposed onshore leasing regulation, which is part of the Biden administration's war on traditional energy sources. The regulation proposed in July would significantly increase fees for operators, which will crush small businesses and tie up capital that would otherwise go towards increasing production, something this administration has said it wants. The regulation also introduces a new nebulous preference criteria for onshore leasing that could lock up thousands of acres of federal lands for leasing, which is the last thing we need right now. This provision is just another tool for this administration to shut down the domestic oil and gas industry. I am proud to serve as an original co-sponsor of this legislation, and I would like to thank Representative Boebert for her leadership here. H.R. 6011, the Right-of-Way Application Transparency and Accountability Act, introduced by Representative Valadao, would expedite rights-of-way applications on federal lands by requiring agencies to notify applicants if their right-of-way application is complete or deficient within 60 days. This all-of-the-above energy bill would help renewable and conventional energy projects on federal lands and would cut down the time it takes to permit and build a project here in the United States. I look forward to a robust discussion today on these bills, and I will now yield to my colleague from Colorado, Representative Boebert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From day one of